What's this all about? How is it you need an order against these folks?
She's stalking me,
How?
like following me everywhere I go. She, I was out having a smoke. She came over to where I was at, so I went over to another area. She followed me over there. I went to another area. She followed me over there. I went to the grocery store, get some groceries. I came back, and the handicap ramp going into the apartment building, she blocked that door so I couldn't get in. She went around the corner, blocked that door, and went around the main entrance, and she blocked that door so I could not get in. I went out, sat down in the parking lot, had a cigarette open, and she'd give up. When my caregiver came, I told my caregiver what was happening. So she was walking me to my apartment. She came into the hallway, screaming, hollering, cussing, calling us a bunch of names. She said she's going to have
Mrs. Amons did that?
She did this, man. She said she's going to have her husband kill us. There was a group of us together having a smoke. He came over there and he said he was going to kill the whole bunch of us.
How long have you lived there?
I've been there about 2.5 years.
How long have they lived there?
I don't know.
Were they there when you got here?
I believe so.
Okay. So how did this all come about?
I wish I knew.
Because you're not the first person to be here from this establishment.
Yeah.
And I was here for some other people, and I get, based on the body language, I'll hear from them in a minute. They're not going to agree with what you're telling me. And so I'm kind of having a tough time figuring out what this is all about.
Well, I'm sure it's a little group of people that she hangs out with her supporting her. That's what I think it is.
Right. And okay, let me hear from the Amonses. Ms. Amons, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You can put your hand down. What's your response to what we just heard from Mr. Wallace?
Well, about 90% of that is fabricated. It's not true. And I can tell you right now, he's being coerced from this other bunch. I got statements showing that Carla back there was asking people to get restraining orders on me since our last court date, in case this didn't work out. There is a video, and it's in my other stuff from the manager and me. I was coming in through the back, and that was about 3 weeks ago, a month ago. This was actually before any court paperwork was delivered to any of us, or we went to court. I came in with a friend, and he was struggling over 4 lanes of traffic with 5 bags of groceries. All we did is walked in, tried to open the door for him and say, "Hey, Bob, I got the door for you." And then he kind of went off and threatened. That's when I put the statement in there that he tried to threaten to run over me. So I went to the front and just left. And so they went to the office. I went into the office, and the manager says, well, her caretaker said she didn't witness anything. And I said, yeah, I was just trying to help him. So if I was harassing and threatening him, I wouldn't have gone to the office. The only reason why I went to the office is because he threatened to hit me with his chair. And all I was doing was trying to help him open the door. That's how I am. That's the kind of person I am. But as a killing and harassing and follow him around, no, that's not true. I'm busy doing other things. And I don't have time in my day to follow Bob around everywhere. This is stuff that's being put into his mind, put into his head because of his dementia from that group. And I think with the previous court dates we've had, it shows the consistency of their statements are back to back to each other and identical. And that's about, and as my husband threatening to kill them. Oh,
I'll swear him in. I'll hear from you.
okay. Yeah.
You said you had statements from other people about,
Yeah.
did
right.
you file those?
No, I didn't, because they just gave them to me within the last week.
Okay, do you want to file them? We can print them, we can make copies of them, and I could provide them to Mr. Wallace, and
Yeah,
I
I
can either
would.
give him time to respond to them, like, and then next time you can zoom in, now that I've kind of had a look at you and heard from you. I'll allow you to zoom in next time. You don't need, if you want a chance to respond to it, but once you, how many do you have?
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
Okay, why don't you give them to the clerk? He's gonna make copies for you. She's gonna make copies for Mr. Wallace.
Your Honor, may I add something?
Yes,
That gentleman back there in the black jacket, I guess he's Miss Forbes' dog walker, has been harassing me also, and
how so?
going into the office and asking information about me, because the manager called me and told me, was wondering what was going on with that, saying they were trying to help Bob get a restraining order on me. Driving his car where I'm at the other side of the building, coming around and just staring at me. It's like trying to intimidate me and stuff. He doesn't even live there. And he has no
What's this-
business.
From your perspective, I asked Mr. Wallace, the same question. Why is all this happening?
Well, I don't know,
I have to say, we see a lot of unusual cases. This might be among the most unusual.
Well, the first year and a half, me and my husband, we helped Bob, we brought him meals. I helped him with this fish tank. My husband went in there and helped him set up his TV and VCR. We were constantly, me and Bob used to be friends. I'd walk his dog all the time, give him treats. And then Miss Forbes supposedly got power of attorney over him, medical power of attorney, this one too. And his whole demeanor just changed towards us. And so I just stayed away from him. So.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Amons, go ahead. I'll hear from you. What's your position on this?
It never happened. I never threatened anybody. I haven't seen Bob, like I said. And passing in the hallways maybe in a year. And we used to be pretty good friends. Like my wife said, I hooked up his TV, helped him program his universal remote, bought him cigarettes when he was having trouble with his Social Security. We brought him food, gas for his truck. And, he paid me back, but this is kind of crazy. What started this, Your Honor, there was two different groups. A group that hung around in the back, and a group that hung around in the apartment, in the front of the apartment. And they decided to put a smoking area in the front, which brought two groups of people together, which just didn't work. And you weren't on one side and went on the other side. It just got to be a hassle. So I just stopped going out there completely.
No, that's fine.
And the other thing, Your Honor, if I went around threatening to kill people, you figure somebody would call the police.
You would figure that.
Mhm.
Somebody. I never heard from the office about a complaint about that.
Nothing.
The first time I saw it was when I got the restraining.
And this order that's out now with don't go upon, we don't even go upon him. So that's obviously working.
No, well, that just meant in there.
Yeah.
In
temporary.
there. So folks in the back, ma'am, you've been fairly demonstrative, I've noticed, as people been talking up here. And so, Mr. Wallace, people have, it's your case, you can call whatever witnesses you think are appropriate. So do you have any witnesses you wish me to swear in and call, or?
I have witnesses that can come in.
Okay, I mean, are they here now?
Date, yeah.
What's that? I
They
mean,
could be here today, but we can come back.
okay. I'm kind of curious about those people in the back. And,
Oh, there's Carlos, he's my caregiver,
right,
and he, Landis, Dave, he gave us a ride over here.
Okay. Does, and again, well, maybe I'll be less subtle about my question. Do you want me to swear them in and hear from them or no?
Yes,
Okay. Does Mr. Amons just told me he helped you at one point, picked up your TV and, bought cigarettes,
at
among
one
other
time
things.
when we were friends,
All
yes.
right. Well, how did all this fall apart?
I
I'll
have
ask that
no
from you.
idea. She just all of a sudden turned on me.
All right.
Tina,
Okay, hang on a second. I'm talking to him. They kind of said the same thing. They said they don't know how this happened either. All of a sudden, everybody's, yeah. Anyway,
Some people
Go ahead,
tell the
ma'am.
truth and some
you
don't.
can come up if you want them to testify. What's your perspective on all of this?
So I used to be friends with Amanda as well. When
Okay,
I
so ma'am, I
first-
want you're looking at me, okay?
I'm sorry.
I'm asking the questions.
Sure.
You don't talk to the other people. You look at me.
Okay, I used to be friends with Amanda as well, when I first moved in. And, we got along very well. And then, I started witnessing behavior that I couldn't, be around. She was, calling people names and she would harass people. She would go up to them in the smoking area. She would do, act in certain ways that I couldn't find for myself that was nice. She would,
So do you live there, ma'am?
I do live there.
And so
I could speak specifically.
how did you become to the caretaker from Mr. Wallace? How did that work? Or did you move in there to be his caretaker?
No. I actually have lived there. I've just signed my 3rd year for my lease there. So I've been there for almost 3 years.
I see.
As far as Bob goes, I was looking for a part-time job. I'm on disability and I've been trying to figure out a way to get off disability. And so I was looking for a way to do that. And I decided to become a caregiver.
I see.
And so Bob was my first client and I have 2 other clients at the reserve as well. And specifically speaking about Bob and the Amons, I can speak to Amanda. I can't speak about Steve, but I can speak about Amanda. The day in question about the doors, about him carrying groceries, he did have 5 bags of groceries. I didn't witness the first door that he tried to go in with the walkway for the ramp, but he did come around. So the building faces Safeway. And there's a door on this side. You come around, there's the main door. And he was very upset coming around where I was smoking. And he was very distraught, very upset, very angry and frustrated. And he came up to me and I asked him what was going on. And he said that Amanda had blocked him and was yelling at him and refused to let him in the door.
But you didn't see any of this?
I did not see any of this. But so I said, well, why don't I go in with you? And I helped him carry his bags in. And Amanda was right at the front door. So she literally would have had to bust her behind to get from the side door to the front door. But she literally was at the front door waiting for Bob. Or it appeared as if she was waiting for Bob and was surprised to see me with him. And then we got in the doors and then yelling pursued into the main lobby. There was name calling, there was yelling and screaming, and we did go into the office. And while we were in the office, we talked to Carrie, who's the new manager there. And what she told us was that she suggested that we call the police department and see about filing a restraining order. And that's how the restraining order started. So I called and talked to, Officer Garrison, and Officer Garrison walked me through the restraining order process. And so I talked to Bob and I asked him if this is something that he would be interested in. And he said it was. And so we went and, we went down and came here and got the restraining order information. And so he and I sat down and we wrote out the restraining order together.
Did you write it?
It's in my handwriting, but it's from Bob's mouth, not from my mouth.
Give me just a second.
And that's not the only instance I've seen I've seen other things where she's come around and called him names and yelled at him and tried to provoke a fight, those types of things. And she's done it with other people too that we hang out with.
Well, we were here a couple of weeks ago and,
With Tina Marie.
yeah. Are you a caregiver for her also?
Yes.
Okay.
And Tina Marie has advanced Alzheimer's, which is why she had severe trouble speaking
Right.
on the Zoom. We should have brought her in here.
Well, here's the thing, ma'am, and everybody. You know, these, you know, in front of me, I have people who at one time apparently used to get along. Both of them say they used to be friends. When I ask them what happened, no one knows. So they're not, but the reality of it is they're not friends anymore. They don't do anything for anything anymore.
May I say something?
When I'm done,
Okay.
go ahead, ma'am.
I was just gonna say that with the, since the temporary's been in place and when Miss Amons was gone during the summer, because I know that she was with family during the summer, that has actually been the most peaceful it has been at the reserve. There's not been any conflict. It's been less stressful.
Okay. Well, an unlawful harassment is a knowing and willful course of conduct directed at a specific person that seriously alarms, annoys, or harasses, or is detrimental to such person and serves no legitimate or lawful purpose. You know, clearly you folks don't get along with each other anymore. And, but on the other hand, given the testimony, you know, and part of my job is here, this happens all the time. It's probably going to happen in cases later today. One person's going to make one story, another person's going to have another story, and then I have to figure out what the right thing is and assess credibility and all that sort of stuff. But, and so again, we have two people where Mr. Wallace is saying, yeah, this happened and they did this, and then they're saying, no, it didn't, and not only did it not, he's been yelling at me. And so based on what's been presented, when a petitioner, you know, the petitioner and the respondent are in two different situations. The petitioner, when they come, they're like the plaintiff in the lawsuit. They have a certain responsibility, and they have a burden of proof of showing by a preponderance of the evidence that it's more likely than not that this particular behavior occurred that rises to the level of harassment. And then I enter an order, and there's all kinds of ways to do that in terms of, you know, corroborating evidence or anything like that. And so that's a long way of saying, based on the evidence, and then they said some things. The Amons submitted some things that from other people that saying, you know, Mr. Wallace might not be the most agreeable person that they've ever seen either. And so, again, based on the evidence that presented here today, I'm not going to find that that the Amons engaged in a pattern of harassment. Just because people don't get along doesn't necessarily mean that an order is appropriate. But I will land on what you said last and said, you know, it's since this order's happened, it's been the most peaceful. And so then I would take that and encourage the Amons to act in a way that they have been since this order's been in place. And then hopefully folks can, you know, you don't have to get along. You don't even have to like each other. You don't even have to look at each other, but just stay out of each other's way. And then that'll be that. And so you wanted to say something.
Last time we were here, there was mention about the state getting involved.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. And I don't know who, again, I'm going to stop you. Stop. Okay. The only thing in front of me here today is, you know, whether or not an order is appropriate in this place and at this time in this place, based on these parties. And I'm not going to enter an order here right now. If the state, I don't remember that specifically, but if the state gets involved, that's going to happen in a different court, and that's going to be not in front of here. But you folks, again, you don't have to get along with each other. You don't have to be friends. Just stay away from each other, and that'll be it. And if there's additional problems, you can bring things back. But I don't know. So the smoking area started all this? Is that what I heard? I think maybe Bob will peep, and I hear pretty much I hear smoking.
actually,
I don't agree with
Let me
that,
finish it.
but-
Well, hang on just a second, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
So, maybe that should be, a lesson to everybody to not smoke. And we'll leave it at that. So you may go, Mr. Wallace. Thank you for being here. Sorry to inconvenience you.